Welcome to Family Bid-Ness, where we get family insight into small business growth, small business strategy. I'm your host, Tim Haggerty, here with my co-host, Ben. Say hi, Ben.
Hello. We are live from WFLA Orlando and brought to you nationwide through iHeartRadio.
Now, over the next hour, we're going to be going over some old business perspectives brought to you by yours truly, as well as a new business perspective brought to you by...
The one and only. After the family business concludes, we're sitting down looking through some family insights. Then we'll see if we can bridge that family divide.
Now, we're all here building small businesses together, and honest, hard questions bring honest, hard answers, and we're all stronger for it.
And you know, it's interesting you say, because you're right. We're all here building our own small businesses. We
Yep.
have our company that we've been building. It's been around over 4 years now.
Yep.
But we're also meeting wonderful new businesses every day. We're working with some wonderful people that have their own small businesses. So
Yes.
I think that might be a good thing for us to talk about today.
Well, yes, actually, because we have been given a question by a viewer, and we're going to go into that a little bit later, but it has spawned this idea, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The idea that brand new, starting a business, okay? How do you start an actual business? We're going to go over from an idea all the way to, we have an example of someone who's just starting out, has a customer, I believe. So we're going to dive into that question later, but it sparked this idea. How do you do this from the ground up?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to give you my point on what I think is important, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'm curious. I want to see what you think is important from the new perspective, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, you ready?
Oh, I'm always ready.
Oh, I'd love that. Okay, so here we go. So based on this, someone's going to come and start a new business, right? Okay, there are a couple of things. Now, I've been through this myself, all right? And I've made the mistakes of doing the wrong things, which brought me to my conclusion here. Number one thing I would do, number one, is we're going to look and see, what am I selling and who's buying? All right, are there customers? Is there a market? Okay, number one, right? And then from there, now I know what I'm going to go start with. Now from there, what I'm going to go do, what I didn't focus on as much before, what I'm going to go do now is set up a proper structure. So I'm going to figure out like whether I'm going to file an LLC, I'm going to be a sole proprietor, whether I'm going to be a corp, right? So like an S corp or a C corp, based on what I am going to be providing, right? And then based on that, I am going to go and then get my other thing in place, which is going to be insurance. I'm going to get that all set up, and I'm probably going to make sure that I have a lawyer. I'm going to make sure I have a good CPA. I'm going to make sure these things are in place, right, while I go and start business development and actually growing the other part of the business too.
Yeah, to me it sounds like you're spending a lot of money on up front for something that you haven't been testing. You don't have a product you're trying to sell yet.
Now, wait
I
a minute.
don't understand why you're not going for revenue, but please continue.
Oh, okay. Now, yeah, you know what? It's a really, really good point. Now, depending on what you're starting, right? You see, because where is the revenue coming from? Who is buying what? And it goes all the way back to, what are you selling, right? So when you're coming into the market, you're going to hang your shingle and like you're going to try to go and provide either a product or a service, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's buying that product or service? I say do all that research up front first before you do anything. Don't spend a dime.
Yeah, find your target demographic.
Yeah. Now, what we like to do on this show, of course, is dive into the details, right? Let's dive into the details. How do you do it? It's one thing to say it, but how do you do it, right? How do you dive into that stuff? And I have an idea.
Well, it's different on your industry. If you're in a tech industry, then
Totally.
you'll probably find them on like different
Maybe.
social media platforms.
Sure.
But it all depends on your industry, your focus, the different types of partners that make sense when you're trying to reach your target demographic.
Or you're trying to figure out who your demographic is, right? So with that, I have an idea.
Well, if you're trying to find your demographic, you just go sell and you see who's interested.
Who are you selling to? That's a broad area. That's a wide net you're casting there.
Well, if I'm selling HVAC, I'm not talking to homeless people. So I feel like there's already a pretty good way to hone in on who is generally going to be in my audience.
Okay, so if you're selling HVAC systems, okay, then sure, then you know, especially if you're dealing residential or commercial, which one is it?
I mean, that'll depend.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about.
Choice.
Right, exactly. Now, let's say you're starting a consulting gig. Let's say, or you want to start a company, but like, do you know the size of the market that you're dealing in? Like, is it going to be a lifestyle business? Is it something that can scale? I mean, all of these kinds of questions I think can get flushed out when you do that first initial step of when you hone in, what am I selling and who's buying, right? Now, my idea for that, I'm going to get it out regardless, right? Go to conventions. You go, and it's the kind of conventions that you're going to be dealing with in that industry. And people at conventions, now you and I have a lot of experience of this, right? Because we go to conventions. And of course, that's one of the reasons why I say that is because if you're trying to get that information up front, right? That legwork up front, I can't think of a better place to go and get a bunch of data in a shorter period of time to go figure out what am I selling and who's the market.
So for target demographic, we're going to conventions to find our answers. Who are we trying to get in front of? It's not really so much for finding partners or finding anybody like that.
Well, maybe. It's actually a good ground for that too, right? And which, by the way, for tuners just coming in right now, we are Family Bid-Ness, where we give family insight into small business growth and small business strategy. And we're talking about very, very beginnings of starting a business now. And I'm coming from the perspective here of that before you do anything, before you spend a dime, you do your market research and you find out who is buying what you're selling. And going over some ideas, and we just talking about conventions and one good way to do that.
Which in itself is very expensive.
Well,
so
now
before you spend a dime, you're spending a couple dimes.
No. But don't go get a booth. I'm not saying do any of that. Go to the convention. Try. Hey, and some of them are free. You might have to travel, maybe. So there is an investment. But now, is that a proper investment? I say yeah. If you're really into it, then you're willing to invest that, and that's your money. Right?
If I'm a new business, because we've both gone to conventions, we went with our brand new company, and now we've gone with experience and education. If you're a brand new business going to a convention, you might find your golden goose at your first, maybe your second.
Golden goose.
But it takes experience to know how to navigate a convention
That's exactly
properly.
right. You know what? And there's one other thing that goes with that, because this is something that I have experienced personally. You might feel nervous or you might feel anxious to actually get out there and talk to people, right? I think a lot of us have that. I know that I have experienced that. And so that's one of the other reasons why I think it's good to do it, because as you and I have done that over and over and over again, I've gotten way more comfortable, and, enough to the point where like we have a radio show. And I certainly didn't have that perspective before. So that's another thing I think conventions are good. You're mixing it up with the people, because ultimately when you're building your business, we talked about this last week with culture, that's all wrapped around people. When you're going to grow something, you're going to build something, it's always going to be with other people. So this is a great way, I think, from experience to go lay that kind of foundation.
Well, I mean, if you're CEO, you're running your company, it is important to do all the things that you have to do. So like if you
Agreed.
need sales calls, you expect to hire people for that in the future, you should
Sure.
be making your own sales calls.
Yes.
If you think conventions are important for your strategy, you should be going yourself to conventions, talking,
Now,
doing the things that you find uncomfortable.
yeah. Oh,
But
great point.
That personal development still doesn't bring you revenue.
No,
it doesn't
you're 100%
develop
right.
a company.
You're 100% right. And this is actually, it's an excellent point, you see, because you don't just jump right to it. When you're climbing a ladder, man, it's one rung at a time, right? And these kinds of things help set the foundation and the basis for you to be able to keep going, right?
Yeah.
And if revenue is at the top of that ladder, you need to get all the way, do those steps to get up there in order to reach that. I mean, it's kind of rare to sit there and have, just luck into the money necessarily, right?
Yeah, no,
It's
absolutely.
rare, right.
And I mean, that's really what it is for businesses. It's all just based on what makes sense for you. Yeah, I mean, you're just starting out. We're talking about a company that has one customer. So you're running off of a real strict budget.
All right.
But you have all these things you need to develop, all these things you need to answer, these questions that are really important. Who am I selling to? Who's going to buy easiest? So
Easy. All right.
we're going to be talking about all of that, but right now we will be right back with Family Bid-Ness after this short water break. Stay tuned.
Now, managing your federal contracting data is hard, and pipeline management is a large barrier for entry for B2B businesses as well as federal contracting companies. Now, whether you're just starting out or have a large company that needs organization, the Teaming Pro pipeline will automate and streamline your business development and procurement strategies. So instantly accelerate your growth plan and take advantage of Teaming Pro actionable analytics. You can activate your account today. Start organizing at teamingpro.com.
Welcome back to Family Bid-Ness, where we give family insights into small business growth and small business strategy. Today, we are talking about the first steps, the very first things when you're starting your new business.
Foundation.
Foundation,
Yes.
structure, all the real necessities
Yes.
for getting from wherever you are. You might even just have an idea to actually having customers,
Yes.
revenue, and having a built business, having
Okay.
a company that you can now grow. So we talked about some interesting points in old business. So, Tim, would you like to recap a couple of those things?
Yeah. So, number one, before you spend any real money, I'm not going to say a dime because now I think I've been corrected on that. Before you spend any real money, you go and do your research first. Find out, number one, hone in. What are you selling and who's buying? Who are the customers? What's the size of your market? Do you even want to play the game? Number one, right?
Yeah.
And then now, once you do decide, yes, this is good, and you're ready to go all in, then the next step is going to be the structure, to where it's like you have to figure out what kind of corporate structure are you going to put in place, right? Because it's going to be tax purposes. And then make sure you have your other things that you need to protect yourself. So that's going to be insurance and probably maybe a lawyer on hand, maybe depending on your business. But protect your assets, right, while you go on this venture.
So, whether or not we agree on that, let's just move past
Okay.
because that'll be a long conversation and
Oh
maybe a fist
man,
fight.
I love it. We should have that sometime.
But regardless,
Okay.
right now I want to focus more on you're building your company. What are you actually offering? Because we have these small businesses, they come and they try to enter different types of industries. They have all these different types of either products or services.
Sure.
But if you really look at it, whether you have a consulting firm,
Yeah.
you are offering a specific product, maybe you created it yourself, maybe you've improved upon a product from the past, maybe you have something completely different. Focusing on that offering. What are you actually bringing to end users? And how can you structure that offering for the individual that has purchasing power?
Well, I'll tell you, yeah, see, like how many points are in all of those things that you just laid out? There's a ton in there. There's a ton of work to be done even before the first dollar can ever be earned.
Oh, absolutely.
A ton of
there
work.
is. Yeah.
All right. So now, but I love your point. You see, because the idea is, in fact, you had said this before: small businesses, limited resources, limited time,
yes.
right? Limited cash, limited everything. Okay. So,
Exactly.
can we accelerate at least some of these things, especially in today's age, right? Yes, because we can use tech to actually get a little bit faster, maybe, right? To answer now, when we say faster, I say faster to answer those questions, right? To see if we even want to ultimately play this game. That's really what I think it comes back down
Exactly.
to.
And I think it's also important to note when we say small businesses have limited resources,
Yeah.
I think a better specification is that they are acutely aware of their resources
Well.
and their deadlines.
Well, they have to be. There's a spotlight,
Exactly.
right? Yeah. I mean, but now you could say the same thing for a department in a large company.
Okay.
It's the same thing. They have a budget, right? They have goals. But of course, now I don't want to go off on a tangent. I mean, but like that's one of the other things, though. When you talk about setting the stuff up to protect you as a small business, that's a corporate structure. But then the next step is actually going to be written down processes, written down goals, and all of that even before we're actually going out there and striking out and trying to make that dollar necessarily.
I actually think you bring up a fantastic point because when it comes
love it
down
when
to
you say
best
that.
practices,
Yeah.
I don't see a big difference between starting a new department inside of an existing company and then starting your own company from scratch. I think that they actually have a lot of parallels between each other.
Okay.
So when you have your department, you're starting something brand new, you have to know what type of manager am I looking for?
Ooh, actually, can we associate this with a real world thing? Yeah, because I actually talked to a company like about 2-3 weeks ago that is doing this. So they're a commercial company, right?
Okay.
And they started a federal contracting arm because they want to get into federal contracting. They want to sell the service that they provide to the federal government, right? So they started this. That's a perfect example. Yes. and there were I want to say 3 people put in the department. So there's one person that was running it, and then the other 2 that that were there for help and sales. Yes, please go ahead.
Are they a tech company?
Yes.
Okay, we talk to a lot of tech companies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's an important distinction because if you're starting a federal contracting arm, there's a big difference between, well, I'm assuming this. Most likely, the personalities that are in your office, if you have a tech firm, they're going to resonate well with the people inside of the government industry, the government
Well,
sector.
everyone does that. Hierarchy is hierarchy, right? And clicks are clicks. Okay, humans are humans. So like when you have let's say private representation on the company side that has a peer or a match on the government side. I mean, I've been involved in that. I've actually been on both sides of that. And so people are people. And everyone speaks their own language. You know what I mean? When it comes down to the group.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. If you're offering janitorial services and you're starting your federal contracting arm,
Yeah.
you probably don't want your just random guy that drives his beat up like little pickup truck to be driving to do business development for you.
Well,
He might be your manager, he might be in charge of your private arm, but he wouldn't be the proper face for your company that you're trying to create for the federal section.
okay, all right, sure, and then hopefully they would invest in their trucks, but yeah, because you always want to put a good face forward, right? Paint the fence first,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
All right, before the inside of the house is fixed up. So, okay, which is a lesson that I'll say I have not always adhered to that lesson, and I paid the price, and that's why I've learned that one. So, all right. So in this case, right, what I think you're saying is that you have your structure, and this actually goes to a small business part too. Like you think business is done this way, and in this commercial business, right, has proof that business is done in this way. They have their business development people doing business in business development in their way, right? So
I just love to interrupt you. If you're just tuning in, this is Family Bid-Ness, where we give family insights into small business growth and small business strategies. We're talking about starting a new business right now, and more specifically, we're talking about hiring. We're talking about the people that you put in your managerial positions and how that can affect your company structure.
all right. So yes, and thank you for the reminder on that. So yeah, when it comes down to how business gets done, right? We try to, as a small business, I think, and this is one of the mistakes that I made too, was that I tried to conform the industry in the way I wanted to do the business, right? So, like in this way, you got the guy who is working BD or business development for that commercial company, doing it well, right?
Yep.
Successful. Now the company tries to take that same methodology and apply it to a different industry.
Exactly.
Now in this case, and we have experience here. In this case, that's why commercial companies struggle when they come into the federal market, because they're trying to do this exact same business development job that works in the commercial world over on that side, over on the government side, and it is a different animal.
There are different hoops to jump through. There are
Yes.
different perspectives. I mean, there's
There's
much to it that doesn't exist in the private sector.
True. Yeah. So, and I'll say this, like just in the federal government part, trust plays a major role, right? So, and which it absolutely should. If you think about the nature of the work, it's very important work. So trust plays a major role. So, coming at that and getting to be known, right? That's one of the major hurdles coming into just the federal contracting market. But you're 100% right. I think it goes right back down to the small business too. You can't try to change the market into the way you want to do it. You have to conform to the way the market is doing it, right? And what are you bringing into it? And especially what are you bringing into it that's different and that's better, right?
Yep.
So, thank you very much for listening to Family Insight. Now, this is the one little trick that we are going to go ahead and pull out now, to where Ben is going to give us some family insight into the banter. I think that comes right back to me, right? So where it's like you're going to tell me exactly where it is that I might have gone wrong. Yeah.
But we'll be right back after a short water break. Stay tuned. The last thing we want to do as professionals is waste time. That's why the question comes up, can this be outsourced? The answer to that question is going to be outsourcing. Think Fiverr.com. It's crucial for small businesses. They have a platform of professionals delivering high quality items quickly, and they can support your next business task. Fiverr.com, Family Bid-Ness.
Welcome back to Family Bid-Ness, where we give family insight into small business growth and small business strategy. We're here going over some very important question. It's how do you start your small business? What are the actual steps that you're going to take, and why are you going to take them, right?
And I think you're absolutely correct. This is an important question. There's so many people trying to start small businesses nowadays. There are different types of businesses, and new industries are being created every day.
Agree. New industries. Hold on.
I was wondering if you'd catch me on that.
I am going to catch you on that.
Okay, so you are listening. Good. Of course, not new industries.
You are mean. Let me tell you what. Okay. Now, here, look. We have a question from a viewer. Mm-hmm. Okay. Alex writes, I'd like to start my own media company, and I'm looking for advice on how to set up a successful foundation for my new business. So, it's successful business, right? I have one customer now as a contractor and looking to expand my customer base.
Okay.
All
well,
right.
First up, congratulations, Alex.
Yeah.
You have your first customer. You have
awesome.
your company. So it sounds like you're doing something right.
Okay. Yeah. And now, of course, I was alluding to this, when we started our broadcast here. So.
Oh yeah, I've been excited for this question. I think both of us have been very interested in answering this one.
So I kind of gave you my insight a little bit into what how I would come at this if you're brand new and all that other kind of stuff. Now, Alex here has already done that. He knows what he wants. He knows
his
what
LLC.
He likes. Now, well, actually, this is actually going to be the next thing, right? So we're going to talk about the LLC. Does he have an LLC? Actually, again, because it in his question, he is asking, how do I do this? All right. So do you mind if I take a stab at this first, and then you come in and then tell me where I'm wrong? Or?
No, go for it.
Okay.
Right. I'm always ready for that.
Okay, great.
If you have a customer that's paying you money, Alex, I hope you have an LLC.
Oh man, you make a really good point. Okay, so it's a media company. All right. So so he's offering a service.
And he has a lot of competition.
All right. Well, now, number one, who is your customer? Like, what are you selling? Who's your customer, right? So media company, yes, there is probably a lot of competition. I really don't know the industry that well.
I don't know it much either, to be honest.
Now, when it comes down to it, now we're actually in the media industry, of course. Now,
we are
have
radio
our show.
hosts.
Yeah,
oh
exactly.
yes.
So that's a little bit. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a little bit of credibility here. Let's say. All right. So now he wants to set up a proper foundation. So he's offering a service. Now let's think about this. And there's probably a lot of standards on this part. Number one, he's going to want to protect himself because there could be liability. What if he does something, presses the wrong button? What if he does copyright infringement to something? I don't know, right? But he's going to want to protect himself. So what I'm going to, if Alex was here, I would say, all right, Alex, that's fantastic. You got one business, right? Set up your LLC, because I would ask him, how are you getting paid from that business? So he says as a contractor, so I'm going to assume he's 1099, right? Okay. So there are tax implications when you do that. When you're a 1099 contractor, it's a straight contractor, right? Like, you're going to have to pay taxes you get paid the whole sum, right? You got to do your own taxes. So what I'm going to recommend here is, probably an LLC. He should set up something. He has to have some kind of corporate structure. I wouldn't go sole proprietor, because there's probably a little bit more liability than if you're like mowing someone's grass or something, right?
Well, I mean, with that, you need to look at, where are you doing business? What industry are you in? Are out-of-state taxes going to be important to you?
Well,
and then, where do I need to set up my company, and what structure makes the most sense? Because he could have a business contract, and through his LLC, he would be a lot more protected if he had that than just a personal contract with himself as an individual.
Okay, so now, and then the question is, why the LLC first, right? So all right, so the LLC, it's pretty easy to file, and it's a corporate structure that separates you, and it represents your business. That's your business, right? And then protects your personal assets, right? If they, let's say you do something wrong and they pierce the veil on the LLC, then they can get to your personal assets, right? But in this case, hopefully he would be an excellent, proprietor of his business, and he's going to provide an excellent service, and nothing like that would ever be happen, or be warranted. So he is, but he's going to protect his personal assets in that. Within an LLC, I think that's probably easiest and best. And plus, it's just him, and it's really cheap. You actually can do it for free. You could do it yourself. you know,
Um,
or you
there's
hire.
filing fees.
Yeah.
You have
Well,
different
yeah.
ways to do it. I don't think we should tell anyone things are free unless we
I
are
don't know.
offering free things.
You're 100% right.
So
All right. Yes, actually, you make a good point. Okay, so when I say that, I say you can put in the effort and time and do it on your own, or you could pay somebody.
unless it
So,
exists in my hands, I'm gonna be a little skeptical at first. But for those of you just tuning in, this is Family Business, and right now we are giving some family insight for Alex. He has asked a very interesting question. So we talked about what we thought was important in the question. Now let's try to actually
okay.
answer the question he
Yeah,
asked,
that's right.
which was, how do I expand my customer
Okay,
base?
and which, by the way, I have been answering. Yes,
I
no.
mean, we talked about building his business and
Well, he
corporate structure,
he
but
he
he
he asked
did
about.
specify,
Yeah.
how do I expand my customer base?
Yeah, well, first it's that foundation, but sure. Okay, so we talked about that, but
That is a great
now
point.
his customer base. Okay, so yeah, he has one customer. That's excellent. That's probably one of the hardest things to do. You go get yourself a customer, right?
You have an
Be-
advocate for your business.
Not well, yes, because
It,
I would just assume Alex is going to come in and do maximum effort, and he's going to bring it, right?
exactly.
And so Alex is just based on that might be able to serendipitously grow his business, and which he should be able to based on reputation, based on what he brings to the market. Fantastic. Now, you should always do that because as a small business, we're talking about we have limited time and resources and other things like that, right? But which also means that we have an opportunity to maximize what it is that we do have, right? And what we're bringing. Let's say Alex brings his service and he knocks it out of the park, right? Okay, then there is word of mouth that will most likely happen. But even then, he also can have he has a happy customer that he can build from. Number one.
And with that, I think it ties back to what you were talking about in old business. I think that it's important for Alex here to know his customer.
Yeah.
Very specifically, talk to the individual, talk to them, figure out why were my services seeked out? Why did you choose me
Yes,
over anybody else that you might have been entertaining? Because
exactly.
if you can get down to the root of why have they chosen me, then you can figure out, like, if this is Steve, how many Steves are out there?
Yeah, man, I wish I had that perspective like 4 years ago when like we were just starting out too, right? Because that's valuable once someone comes into your ecosystem, right? Now, there are reasons why,
Yeah.
and so it's a wonderful place to build from. Now, so I think that is right. I think that Alex should look at the demographics of who his customer is, how much, and hopefully he's getting paid the appropriate amount of money or like whatever that is. But who is that customer? Why do they want him? Why do they need him? What differentiates? Whatever it could be, and then go try to find the same ones.
Where are
That's
they?
the
And
next step.
that ties right back into what you were talking about as well with the conventions.
Right.
Specifically, where
Yes.
should I go?
And that's
If it
one-stop shopping kind of
if
thing.
it makes more sense for me to go to a ball game in Wyoming because all of the business executives are going to be there, then that's what I should be doing.
A
But
ball game
if
in Wyoming.
if they're at a convention instead, it all depends on where can I get my foot in the door.
Yes.
Where can I start the right conversation with the
Yeah.
right person?
Right. Okay. Now, and so in Alex's case, right? Okay. If he was going to go to a convention, now he actually can do a couple of things, with that. Let's say he already has his structure set. He's got an LLC. He's all good. And at that point, the next invoice that he would send to his current customer should be through his company, his LLC, right? Because if he's going to do it, he's going to do it.
Exactly.
Okay, good. Okay, and so then that means his customer is now dealing with a business. So now we got a B2B relationship going on here, most likely, right?
Which is usually more beneficial for the customer. It's easier to justify working with a company than working with an individual.
Oh yeah, why not?
There's
right?
protection
Yeah,
in that.
exactly. And then all right. So all of that stuff. Now, so he asks, now how, and he's looking to expand his customer base. Okay, so where are your customers? Who are your customers? Where are they? Right, and then that's ultimately what you're going to want to concentrate on next. We're actually going to probably step into some of those specifics when we go ahead and come back within our next segment.
But right now, it is time for us to take a water break because we are thirsty. So we will be right back after this short break. Stay tuned.
So finding the right talent to grow your small business in a short time can be nearly impossible, but Fiverr Pro takes care of that for you. Now you can connect with top-tier professionals vetted for their expertise and reliability. Now, whether you need a stunning website or an impactful marketing campaign or expert consulting, Fiverr Pro offers access to elite freelancers who deliver exceptional results. Visit Fiverr.com, Fiberr.com, and use code BID-NESS, and you can start seeing the difference that expertise makes today.
Welcome back to Family Bid-Ness, where we give family insights into small business growth and small business strategy. I am your co-host, Ben, here with our host, Tim, and we have been having some wonderful conversations today. Excellent conversations. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
This has been an excellent day with some excellent conversations that I totally got to have my 2 cents in. No, you've actually done a wonderful job. You've let me speak, and I appreciate that.
Thank you very, very much. I've been working on that. Yeah.
So we were just talking about a fantastic question that we got from a member of the Bid-Ness family, Alex.
Yep.
He was talking about his media company that he just started, and he's interested in growing, getting some more customers.
Yeah.
So he has one customer right now, and again, kudos to Alex.
Okay.
Fantastic job.
Love it.
But
American dream.
American dream.
That's what it is.
Fantastic.
It is fantastic. He's stepping out of his comfort zone, and he's doing this. That is amazing.
Maybe he's one of those people that just loves being social.
I just love it. Hey, either way, either way, I think that we definitely should make sure that we leave Alex with some actionable items, actionable things. So,
what's your homework, Alex?
Yeah. So, I want to give him some things to do. So, like number one,
I think we both agreed on this. Make sure you have your corporate structure, your LLC, the foundation of a business.
Please, just make sure that you protect yourself. There's no shooting from the hip here. All right.
Exactly.
So let's just make sure it's all set up proper. Number one. Okay.
Yep.
And then number two, when it comes down to he wants how do I go and get new customers, right? Okay. The very, very, very first thing, right? He has one customer now. All right. One, provide overwhelming support. Make that customer happy. No one. Warren Buffett said this. No one ever went broke delighting their customers. I'm pretty sure I'm getting that right.
I don't know if that's the exact quote, but I do know what you're mentioning.
All right. So at a basis, he has to bring that every day. All right. So great. Now let's just assume that that's happening. Everything's awesome. Now, then the second part is, okay, let's analyze who your first customer is. How did you get your first customer first? Also, it was most likely, I'm going to hazard a guess, it was most likely a relationship thing.
Friends or family is
most likely
usually how every business starts.
Okay. So now, that's networking.
Living off of the 401k.
Okay.
I mean, this is how a lot of businesses begin.
Yep.
They're living off of whatever small pool of money existed from the job they were working before.
Right.
And so they have their limited time, their limited resources.
Right. So, and a limited network in some cases.
In some cases, a very limited network. You might only know the people in the small town you grew up in.
That's true.
It all depends on what your background is.
Okay. So now, when it comes down to it, most likely I'm going to hazard a guess on this part too, but most likely Alex had a meeting with that customer, whether it was in person or Zoom or something, and they struck a deal and all that stuff, right?
Alex made the sale. We know for a fact Alex made the sale. He has the client.
Awesome.
So that's a great point. He should analyze not first, where did I meet this person? How did I build the relationship to begin with? And then how did I sell them? How did I get my foot in the door and then take those next steps inside to make that contract happen?
Well, all right. So now this is where I'm going to say it was most likely relationship, right? So I am going to say, like, the next thing for Alex, right? He has to go get out of the office, right? And he has to go mix it up, right? And dive right into where his market is. And for those of us just tuning in, we are Family Bid-Ness. We give family insight into small business growth and small business strategy. And we're going over a really interesting question here from a viewer, Alex, who has started his business. It's a media company. He has one customer. He wants to know, how do I set it up properly? And then also, how do I go and grow my business, right? And this is an everyday question.
I just tuned in, and I'm riveted.
I love it.
Just want you to know I am so excited for this.
Well, let me tell you something. So
You
with
had me
that,
past the edge of my seat.
well,
I'm off the stool.
well, buddy, get ready for this because I'm about to blow your mind. Okay, so because I'm not done. You see,
Oh,
because
you're not
no,
done.
I
No.
am not. I am not done.
I
So
do still hear words.
yes. So this is really is going to circle back to. I love the convention idea, because ultimately, if you look at it from its surface, right, you're putting a lot of people together. Alex has got to get out of the office, and he has got to go talk to. He knows what service he's providing, right? He has an idea of who his buyer is. He has
Yeah.
one. Now that's only one. Now he really needs to get two or three in order to get a really good idea of his demographic, who he's serving, what part of the market he's serving, right?
Exactly.
Now, a whole lot of that can be, what are you bringing to the market that's different? That's why answering the questions that you were talking about earlier. Why did you buy from me, right? You ask your customer, why did you buy, right? So,
But I think you're bringing up a great point here. Finding the places and then figuring out the right strategy to get in front of quality connections.
yeah, well, yeah, or yeah, just connections that are going to work, right?
Exactly.
Not just anybody. And this is why I do like the convention stance too.
Well,
And because we have done that when we've done business development there at conventions, right? We have met people that we ended up partnering with at conventions, right? I don't know if we've hired anyone from conventions, but you
we've
put a
been
lot.
interested in people
Yeah,
for that.
yeah.
Now, this is the other thing I'll say though, because at conventions we've also met competitors,
Oh
and
yeah.
we've had companies try to get much more information from us than we expected.
Well, this is where you have to bring in your savvy, right? You have to be savvy.
You have to
Okay?
know who you're talking to
You
and
have
why.
to know that you don't just
Because
out there. And now let me
you
tell you
can
what.
turn a competitor into a
Oh,
partner
let me,
easily.
man, I have made that mistake first too. Like when I was first going out, I was saying everything because I was so excited. I was so
Yeah.
excited about it. And
Oh, and you have such a great idea.
ugh,
You have these wonderful things you can bring.
oh,
Yeah,
and
and you
yeah,
think you're all that.
and then the real world comes in.
And you
Okay.
realize
Yeah.
how frequently this has been done before. Yeah.
So, yeah, and yeah.
Which
So
is helpful in hindsight because when you realize how much other people have tried to do this, you see all the pitfalls, you
well, yeah.
see where everyone has
Well,
has come short and
that
why.
that is what I'm saying for Alex too. Learn from other people's missteps. Learn from that,
Exactly.
especially maybe ours here too. The ones that we have made in growing our business too, right?
Especially ours, yeah.
So like here, Alex needs to. He already has an idea on what he's doing, what he's providing, right? So there's a part of the market. He has one customer, so he's already a leg up, right? Do an excellent job and go see if you can ask for a referral from that customer. Number one, two. Talk to your customer and
Yeah.
ask for a referral if maybe they know somebody. Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Okay. And then the second part is get out of the office, right? And then start figuring out and mixing it up, right?
Mhm.
And get the answers to those questions. And you just brought that up, man. It's like what's the competitive analysis look like and all of that other kind of thing.
Yeah. And really, Alex, the longer your business is around, the more experience you have to pull on. So just keep it up and you're going to see some stuff happen.
Totally.
So we'll be right back after a short break. Teaming Pro is a one-stop shop in the federal contracting market. We have the three things you need to be successful in the industry, and that's opportunities, teammates, and organization. We do this so you can come together and do more. Whether you're just starting out or you have a large company that needs to organize, Teaming Pro automates and streamlines that business development and your procurement strategies. So visit us at teamingpro.com, activate your free account today, and join the growing network. teamingpro.com.
Hey, so welcome back to Family Business, and we want to go
I
over and.
believe that we are doing Bid-Ness
Oh,
at the
did
moment.
I do that?
You
I
did,
can't believe
you
that.
did.
You know what? We're going to chalk that up to the old business perspective.
And from the new business perspective, I think we had a fantastic conversation.
I love
I
that.
hope that we answered Alex's question well, because it really was a wonderful question that he posed for us.
And his most important thing, I really do think, is not only going to be the revenue, which I know your head goes straight to revenue, right? But
Well,
what I say is, let's get it all set. Let's get the foundation
it
set
didn't.
first. Let's build from,
You
or have
need
something to
that
build
foundation.
from, right? Yeah, have something to
But-
build from. Exactly.
I mean, with our company, we built our foundation, and you always come back to needing revenue if you didn't figure it out in the
Well,
beginning.
At the end of it, yes,
But-
sales cures all,
Yeah.
no matter what else too.
I
That's
think
right.
that we bridged the divide on this one. We might
Yeah.
be on the same page
I
here.
like
I
that.
don't know.
Yeah.
I might end up just having you slap me after this. There might be some things I didn't understand. I don't know. I have my new fresh perspective.
I do not agree with violence. I will just say that. Okay, so yeah, but happy to talk.
Happy
Yeah.
to talk. It has been fantastic. I won't say riveting again, but no, this really has been wonderful. I appreciate everything. So, yeah.
Yeah.
this
So
has
hey,
been a great.
for the next show though, please come and visit us at familybid-ness.com. We would love to hear some more questions from our viewers.